Alrighty, me and Dad have been on the road for about 3 hours this morning. Picking a new implement up today for the farm. We've come out to the small country town of Birchip, which is sort of mid-Victoria, in the Mallee. So we're just waiting for this bloke to rock up with what we're getting, and then once we've got it, we'll show you what it is and we'll make our way back home. Rightio, we just finished loading up. As you can see, we have just bought a boom spray. So it's a Jetstream computer spray. I'm calling it the egg, as you can probably guess why. So we won't talk about it too much here in the wind here, but good little purchase. Better than having no boom spray at all. So we've just loaded her up. It should be right to tow her back home, the 3 hours. Yeah, it all looks pretty tidy, and it's pretty simple the way it works. There goes Dad's belt. Yeah, so we'll get her home and we'll have a bit more of a closer look at it and talk about it once we get it back to the farm. Rightio, just stopped in for a feed at the Birchip Bakery. It'd be rude not to. Apparently, Australia's #1 Snot block or vanilla slice for 2022. They've won it a few times in a row going off the shop front. I've stopped in here a couple of times for a pie or whatever. It's not too bad. What do you reckon about your pie? That had curry just then, and I just had a cheese and bacon. Wasn't too bad.
Tasty enough.
So we'll give the old Snot block a go, see if it's as good as they claim. Pretty good. Is it Australia's best? Don't know. I'd probably give it like a 8.7. We'll wash it down with a Nippy's honeycomb. Well, we'll have a look at that when we get back to the farm. We'll have a look at the boom spray. No, further. Nice one. Yeah, we'll have a look at that boom spray a bit closer once we get home and unhook it. So we'll see us back there. Right, yeah, we finally made it back home. Got the egg here. Yeah. Yeah, so I didn't say much about it when we were picking up a Birchip there, but this is it pretty much. It's not the prettiest looking thing, but it should be pretty good, I think, still. Yeah, it looks a little bit rough, but it all works. There's nothing broken on it. There's been a few repairs done over the years to it, but it's still, yeah, all pretty good. The guy who bought it off said he chucked a new pump on it. Must have been start of last year maybe, or last September. So it's got new pump, new chains. Said the nozzles on it were a couple of years old. And yeah, it's all pretty good to rock and roll. So yeah, it's mechanically driven off the drive wheel there. There's a lock you put in for the wheel, and that drives that chain, and then that drives the pump, and then yeah, pressurizes your chemical and comes out the nozzles, obviously. There's also foam markers, these big things here. They're also mechanically driven. It's a bit of a weird setup off this wheel here, which drops down and touches the back wheel, and then when it turns, it pushes in that little trolley wheel or wheelbarrow wheel, whatever you want to call it, and that's how it sucks the foam through. So interesting design, but obviously works. The guy who bought it said it's pretty good. Yeah, 2,000 litre tank. I think we worked out it was set up to, how many litres was it? 26 litres to the acre or something along those lines is what the pump's set up to at the moment. It's also got, it's electronically operated for the foam markers. There's a control box we've got in the back here, just got covered in rain on the way home, so hopefully it's still alright. Yeah, and then there's a freshwater tank, this blue one, and then the foam tank there. Yeah, so should be a pretty good little unit for us. I can't think how many feet the booms are. I'll ask Dad and I'll put it up. But yeah, we just got home. I think we have to feed cows because Mum hurt herself yesterday. She fell off a horse or something. So we might come back and have a little bit more closer look at it tomorrow or something along those lines. I think Dad's got a day off during the week and I think he might have a play around with it as well. But yeah, we'll be back tomorrow anyway doing something. So I'll see you in the morning. Morning everybody. So been out this morning, picked up the new sheep feeder, lick feeder. Same as the other two we've got. So we've got two with the other mobs. So I'm currently out here with the weaner lambs. Yeah, so we're going to get this set up. It's just another Advantage feeders who make them. It's the 1800 HD, which is pretty much the exact same as the other ones we've got. This one has a slight variation with the adjustments you can make. So in the trough here, it's got these orange cams along the length of it, and it adjusts this trough part in here, how low they can go down or how high you can have it, along with all your other adjustments here and then on the outside as well. So we've got it set like this, and that just allows, that is how much grain is allowed to fill up that area there. So, and that's where they get their tongue into lick. So that's pretty much set up how we want it. So yeah, that's the new feature on these newer ones. I think you can retrofit them to the older ones as well, but that's not something we'll probably do. So Dad's just on his way here now with the John Deere. He's got a couple of bales of hay to give these weaner lambs, and then we'll unload this off my ute, get it set up where we're going to put it, and then we'll probably go get a bag of grain, some barley, and chuck in here as well. I don't know if we need to fill the other feeders up or not. We might have to fill the one we didn't fill up the other week. Yeah, so we'll get that done first and finish off feeding off these sheep. Dad's been out here already, fed the main mob, I think a few bales earlier while I was getting this. And then once we've done that, I'm not really sure what the plan is today. We might have a look at that boom spray, just unfold it all and just have a quick look. We had a little bit of a look at it before. Looks like a couple of bearings need to be done on some of the pulleys. But we'll unfold it, see what sort of condition. Oh, well, we'll do a bit of a condition report on it and decide what we want to do to it before we use it, because me and Dad were talking yesterday. We'll be spraying relatively soon, he reckons. So we'll have a quick look at it, set it up, and just decide what we want to change and fix up and all that sort of stuff. Don't know if we'll do any bulldozer work today, but we'll see how the day unfolds. Rightio, she's all unloaded, so we'll have to go get some grain and fill her up. Rightio, back out here with this feeder. We've finally about to fill it up. Dad's filled the other two feeder bins. So yeah, just waiting for him to get out here now. We'll fill this one up and we might go up and unfold that boom spray and have a look. The day's starting to get a bit late, so don't know how much more we'll get done today. Don't think we're going to do any days of work today. Don't know if we'll do any tomorrow either. Don't know if it's meant to rain maybe tomorrow. Still pretty wet out here. It's been a dry-ish sort of week, so a lot of it's dried up, but yeah, we're still sloshing around in the mud. So yeah, here's what it is. Alright, so the new bin's filled up. And Dad's going to go around and change the adjustments on the outside, like what we explained the other week, to let a bit more grain through. Because obviously there's a bit of rubbish in this stuff, and it blocks it up. So yeah, unfortunately it's some of the rotted grain in there, but anyway, is what it is. So yeah, this one's set up and ready to go, and then yeah, it'll keep these weaner lambs, give them a bit extra food, and keep them sort of topped up in between hay. So yeah, that'll be good for them, put a bit of conditioning into them hopefully. So yeah, we'll see you back up at the shed. Rightio, we just finished up feeding. Finally, it's taken the majority of the day. I'm just over here at the boom spray, so I might have a go at unfolding it, just have a bit of a look what she looks like, and just have a look over it, see if there's what needs sort of repairing. There's a bit of stuff that we'll have a look at that does need a bit of attention, but all in all, it's pretty good. So yeah. Also, we end up with a few freebies from our little excursion. So we got a free oversized sign, nice free little ratchet strap. That's all in the freebies, but here's the control unit for it, the computer spray controls. So yeah, it's all mainly to do with the agitation and foam marker. So the stationary agitation, which our mate said he didn't use. Then you've got the switches to turn on the foam marker, and I don't know if you can turn off each boom for spray or not, but yeah, we'll have a little experiment when we get it all set up and we go to use it. We'll set it all up and see what it does. But yeah, we'll have a crack at unfolding this and see what it looks like all unfolded. Well, that's this side unfolded. It's on a bit of a lean. I guess it might even out once I undo the other side. It's a bit of a funny setup. I'll unfold this other side and see what it turns out like. Right, yeah, as you saw, I just awkwardly unfolded it. Yeah, straight away there's a few things we'll need to fix. This side's not too bad. Oh, well, actually this side's probably worse than that side, but that side looks worse. So this one comes out, it's pretty straight. There's a couple of bends in this end here behind me, and it's no drama. The biggest problem is this frame support that has the cables that hold up that extra, the extended part of the boom. So what you'll say is someone's done a repair there, put some square bar in to go in this tube, and that side had come off, so it's not, yeah, we'll have to fix that. We'll have to, like, yeah, put that in there and weld it on properly. Probably knock this washer off, slide it all off, put it all back together, and then, yeah, weld it all on, so it's welded up and not going to fall apart. Other than that, this side's pretty good. There's sort of been some funny sort of repairs. The rubbers are sort of worn out in some of the spots, so they have these like rubbers here that I guess sort of help it flex if you'll whack something. And then the way it's meant to all sort of hold together is with these little rubber latch things that go in there. It's not a real good system, I suppose. It does allow flexibility, but I think me and Dad were talking before, we'd rather, like, yeah, set something up where it's like pin sort of system here to hold it, lock it all together properly. Other than that, it's probably not too bad here. Just if we fix this up and come up with a little bit better of a system for locking it, it should be pretty right on this side anyway. And we've got the foam marker down here. It's upside down. I think because there's zip ties on here holding it. We'll just have to cut that off and flip it around. Oh mate, we watered off, put fly wire over the, oh no we don't, just turn that over. There we go, all good. Yeah, he put fly wire over the bucket thing, whatever you call it. He said his reasoning was, because we're not, I don't have much experience with sprayers, so I'm learning as I go here. But because of the foam marker, the way it must work, it must like shoot out a big lot of foam in blobs. Well, they call it a blob marker on this thing. But I think old mate didn't like the way it come out. As he said, it spits it out like bloody dog shit. So he put that on there, which I think broke it up a bit more and like sort of left more of a trail, maybe, I think he was saying. Yeah, so you reckon it like just splattered on the ground. So that's why there's fly wire on there. Other than that, this side's all pretty good by the looks of it. I think I spoke already about the plunger system for the foam marker. Interesting system. Oh, almost fell over. But yeah, it just drives off that wheel and that just pumps in and out. That's how it, yeah, sucks in the foam. So then I think the guy, he bought it off because this was second hand when the other fella bought it, that we bought it off. He put these taps on the end so you can clean out all your lines a bit easier, I think. And I think this must have had something to do with how it was hooked up originally. But we're not quite sure what happens here, so we might get rid of this. We'll get rid of this old triangle, that's for sure. So then when you come over to this side, you'll notice that the boom's on the ground and the foam marker's dragging. So over this side, there was a repair done. Something happened, it bent the boom or broke it or something. Someone, not the guy we bought off, put stainless steel in. Yeah, he must have had a bit of money. And he's used stainless steel. So it's not a drama. It's not particularly bent. I think the boom, the extended part of the boom's got a little bit of a kink in it, but it's not like a problem. So the reason it is on the ground, I think, for whatever reason, when it was repaired maybe, or I'll show you in a sec, but when it's been repaired, I reckon that might have had something to do with it. But there's some chain link or chain up the top there where that hooks onto the spring that you can adjust. And I think this cable here just needs to be shortened, because when you pull it, it then lines up 90 degrees with the framework. And then you can see it comes up about 3 feet off the ground. So I think all we have to do is just shorten the cable on this side, and then it'll all sort of straighten out and be at the correct height. But that's sort of why it's down low. Also, I think because there's a bit of slop in this old rubber bush, it's probably not helping either. When it straightens all out, it'll obviously get a bit tighter, but I think it probably doesn't need a new bush or something. We're not going to worry about it though. You'll also see here all these welds along these hinges. Me and Dave were talking, we think that it might have got seized at one point, so they've cut it to free it up and then they've welded it all back together. It's a bit of a dodgy repair. It's not real good. But Dad was talking about drilling a hole and welding on a nut and then screwing a grease nipple in so we can just grease them, which would have made sense for the guys who had this problem with it. They should have probably done that. Then, because you can see on this one, then they've got an angle grinder and cut into it. And then they obviously would spray like WD-40 or some oil in there to lube up this side. So that's what we're thinking. We think that it's seized up and they've made these repairs. They're obviously farmers' repairs. But Dad reckons we can probably rig it up a bit better and then we can graze it and it's more serviceable, which is a good thing. I had a look at this before. So here's the pump. Bloke we bought it off said he replaced it last September, so about a year ago, just under. So that should be all good. He was also saying all the flow rates and everything there is there for what you do to change the gears to get the rate you want. He said you had to put a little bit of air in there, about 15 pound. And it was to do with if you were driving at slow speeds, the way this sort of operated. I think it might have been to stop the spray from sort of shuddering, is what I thought of it anyway. But we're not quite sure, but we'll, put a bit of air in there and see what happens when we're spraying. The two drive pulleys here, the bearings in there need to be replaced. There's a bit of movement, quite a bit of movement. So we'll replace those bearings before we use it. We don't want them to get any worse and damage the sprockets or the chains. And the way it sort of drives, so there's a drive, comes up here. On behind this hub is a freewheeling hub. So what you do is you pull this pin and then that pushes in like that. And that locks into a hub behind there, and then that all drives through the pump. So pretty clever idea. Eliminates the need for a PDO, which is good because then we can hook this onto one of the utes and drive around with the utes. Not that we would, because it gets pretty wet, so we're probably better off with the tractor. But yeah, if we wanted to, we could hook it up to a ute and drive around like that and do it, and because there's no need for a PDO, so it makes life a little bit easier. A couple of filters in these apparently, so we'll probably pull all that apart and clean it. There's all the electric solenoids for the foam marker and stuff. I don't know how the agitation works on this, but can't remember if it's electronic agitation or not. So we'll check that all out. He said that sometimes the solenoids do stick, you just give them a little tap and they come free. But we'll try and shed this as well to keep it out of the weather. So we might have to rearrange some things to fit it in the little machinery shed. Then up front we've got our blob dobber. We've got our blob dobber. So this is for the foam marker. This is where the foam marker stuff goes in. And then this tank here is apparently just fresh water. And the guy we bought it said he didn't really use it. But yeah, if we need fresh water for whatever reason, we've got it. So I guess it's for like flushing your drums out when you're filling it. So we'll go have a look at that as well, because that sort of brings us on to our next point. We've got this probe. Guys have probably got sprayers, probably like, mate, we know all this stuff. Like, what are you telling us for? But for people that don't know, so there's this probe as well. You stick that in your drum, turn the tap on, and then it sucks all your chemical out when you're putting in your water, I think. Also has this second one with the green garden hose is to put the water back in and flush the drum as well, so you get everything out. So that's what that's for. Yeah, Dad was saying we'll probably cut these hose ends and just rig it up a little bit neater so that they're not bending and breaking like that. We might even, I don't know, put new hose maybe. We'll see how excited we get. But yeah, you can see they're a bit brittle, a bit old. So this boom spray had come down from, so we met that bloke in Mildura, not Mildura, sorry, in Birchip, which is about halfway to Mildura from where we are. And it was just easy for us to like meet halfway because it's about a 6-hour drive to where he was. So up in Mildura, for people not from Victoria and not from Australia, Mildura is the very top of Victoria, the state we're in, and it gets very hot up there, a lot of sunshine. So hoses and stuff are pretty brittle. Would go pretty brittle up there. Yeah, so that's why a lot of it's brittle, but you know, probably sitting out in the weather doesn't help. Doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't help it. So yeah. What else? That's about it really. We'll probably tighten all this stuff up here. This is all just that holds the booms in when you're transporting. This A-frame thing here is a bit loose. We'll tighten that up. The old toolbox over there we're gonna get rid of because looks like it's just a rust collector. There's no lid on it. So we'll chop that off and get rid of it. Yeah, I was thinking just before we could put like a little racking thing in here, or maybe something that we could cut the chemical on here, so we're not having to go back for stuff. So that could be an idea for in the future. But yeah, so there's a little bit of work to do to it. Nothing too serious. Just a few minor repairs and tidying it up a bit. And then once it's all tidied up and ready to go, we should be able to test it. And yeah, hopefully it works really good. Yeah, with the control box for it, I'll quickly mention it's just a trailer plug basically that just hooks on. So it just has a trailer plug hooks on there. You run it up into your ute to, where are they? Here's your power. We'll have to work out what one's what. This must be earth. We'll probably just make I'll make an Anderson plug for this so we can just plug it into the back of the tractors. And then, yeah, he said he had it hooked up to a cigarette lighter in his ute because he did all his spraying from his ute, and he reckoned that worked pretty good. But we'll probably do Anderson plugs just because the cigarette lighters in the tractors don't work. And yeah, Anderson plugs are just sort of nice and neat, and they're on the back of the tractors already. So yeah, so that's the boom spray all sorted. We'll obviously probably have some videos where we're working on that. Probably leave it like this for now and show Dad when he gets back what the go is. But yeah, it should be a good little addition to the farm. It'll save us having to get Jamie or Simon out here spraying for us, and it saves us money too. And then we can spray as much as we want as well. So this will be good for getting rid of all the Scotch thistle that we have around the farm. We'll probably get a fair bit of use out of this, I think. And for the money we spent, it's definitely worth it. So yeah, I'm christening it the egg, for obvious reasons. So yeah, we'll probably wrap the video up here. There's not much else happening today. So good to get that new feeder up and set up. Good to get this boom spray. It's going to be pretty good. And we've got all the sheep fed, which is another job done, which is just excellent. And I think everybody's going to be happy. So we'll wrap the video up here, everybody. Once again, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Any questions or comments, chuck them down in the comments. I pretty much reply to every single one that gets put down. So yeah, we'll see you in the next one. All right. What a way to end on. What a rainbow. That's a good one.